coming up against some stiff opposition in York, because Radio York is offering airtime to people who believe that their aches and pains, fits of depression or changes in behaviour can forecast the weather better than all those scientific calculations made by the boys and girls in the Met Office. On the phone now is Radio York presenter David Dunning, who is fairly handy himself at forecasting the weather. David, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, I hope. What is your own system of forecasting?
Well, I can always tell, when there's going to be a thunderstorm, because, unfortunately, I have to admit this, that I get a little bit bad-tempered before thunderstorms. Now, the reason is because I get terrible headaches, which means that I run around the office like a bear with a sore head for about a day. And I'm really not all right until we've had the thunderstorm. But once that's gone and the air's clear, I'm fine. So I always know when there's going to be a thunderstorm because of my bad headaches.
Yes, I get that, but usually after the local pub has got a bit low on bitter. When did you discover you had this extraordinary talent?
Well, I've known about this for quite some time, actually. The thing is, it's not the sort of thing that you run around telling everybody about, because they might think you've gone a bit balmy. But it was talking to one of the other producers at Radio York, Chris Choi, about amateur weather forecaster Bill Foggett. He's a chap who lives in Thirsk, and he knows all about the weather. Apparently, Chris told me he has similar things happening to him. And as we chatted more and more, Chris and I, we realised that he had a little problem as well, which helped him forecast the weather. And I suddenly realised that I wasn't alone.
Yes, it must be rather comforting to know that others share your suffering.
Yes, it is.
The perfectly named Bill Foggett. I mean, in the winter, the joints must ache all the time.
I think they do for poor old Bill, yes. I mean, he has things like he gets twinges from a knee injury before it rains, would you believe? He has the headache problem before thunderstorms as well. And the worst thing, I think, is the fact that he gets cramp before frost.
Oh, Lord, what a miserable life. So far, how many people have you found then, David, who can forecast the weather? What's the most unusual way of discovering it?
Well, I think probably the most unusual way has to go to our producer, Chris Choi, because he was in Gdansk in 1982, and unfortunately, he wasn't taking part in any riots or anything like that, but he did get a little bit mixed up with the police in Poland, and he received a little bit of a bash on his leg as he was trying to get out of the way. And this plays up before a damp spell. So we think that probably the most unusual weather forecasting technique goes to Chris Choi with his gammy leg and the damp spell.
And you're getting a good response from your listeners,
We are, yes. I think at the moment we've got about 20 people on the books to call round when we start the service in about 2 weeks' time. But every time I look and every time I talk to Chris, the numbers are just growing all the time. I think we really have found the alternative method of weather forecasting.
Well, I'm not really surprised, because that thing, the Mistral, this wind that has different names throughout Europe,